Καλημέρα, καλημέρα. Γεια σας. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Αν μ' ακούτε και αν με βλέπετε, να σας καλωσορίσω. Ονομάζομαι Σταύρος Κοντός. Είμαι Senior Solution Manager στη Unisystems και κάτω από τη δική μου την ευθύνη έχω δύο λύσεις, να δούμε κάποια πράγματα. Μία λύση είναι το Dynamics 365 της Microsoft και η άλλη λύση, την οποία και σήμερα θα εξετάσουμε και θα δούμε, είναι το Pointillist, η Pointillist πλατφόρμα της Genesis. Να τονίσω σε αυτό το σημείο ότι το meeting, η παρουσίαση μαγνητοσκοπείται και ότι όποιος χρειαστεί κάτι πολύ εύκολα μπορεί να πατήσει το raise a hand, να πατήσει το χεράκι και να ρωτήσει οτιδήποτε χρειαστεί, ότι θέλει να κάνει κάποια ερώτηση. Θα περιμένουμε λίγο ακόμα πριν ξεκινήσουμε την παρουσίαση, να κάνω μια εισαγωγή. Θα κάνω μια εισαγωγή, να περιμένουμε λίγο να έρθουν και κάποιοι άλλοι που έχουν δηλώσει συμμετοχή. Καλημέρα, καλημέρα σε όσους έρχονται αυτή τη στιγμή και κάνουν join. Έλεγα προηγουμένως ότι το session ηχογραφείται, γίνεται recorded και όποιος έχει κάποιο ερώτημα, κάτι να ρωτήσει, μπορεί να πατήσει το χεράκι. Να σας καλωσορίσω, να καλωσορίσω και αυτούς που κάνουν join αυτή τη στιγμή και μπαίνουν. Ωραία. Ένα λεπτό ακόμα και να ξεκινήσουμε. Ωραία. Να ξεκινήσω θα μου δώσετε ένα λεπτό. Καλημέρα και πάλι. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Ξεκινάμε την παρουσίαση. Ένα εισαγωγικό που είναι σημαντικό για να δούμε τη λύση της Pointillist, αλλά πρωτού πάμε να εξετάσουμε μαζί την λύση Pointillist, την πλατφόρμα της Pointillist, να δούμε κάποια σημαντικά πράγματα για τη Unisystems. Η Unisystems είναι ο νούμερο ένα system integrator ελληνικών συμφερόντων. Έχει τζίρο 175 εκατομμύρια και αναμένεται να φτάσει στα 200 εκατομμύρια. Έχει πολύ ισχυρό presence σε 20 χώρες plus. Ένα πολύ σημαντικό στοιχείο είναι το ανθρώπινο δυναμικό με 1.300 plus εργαζόμενους, consultants, technology professionals, επαγγελματίες στο χώρο με βαθιά γνώση του αντικειμένου τους. 60 χρόνια εμπειρίας και τεχνογνωσίας στους συγκεκριμένους χώρους της τεχνολογίας. Δραστηριοποιείται σε 20 plus χώρες, όπως είπαμε, αλλά έχει και μια πολύ ισχυρή παρουσία, ένα strong presence με εκπροσώπηση σε 6 χώρες. Ένα πολύ σημαντικό είναι ότι δραστηριοποιείται η Unisystems στο banking sector, στο telecom, στο public και στον ιδιωτικό τομέα. Διαθέτει ένα πλήθος λύσεων οριζόντια και κάθετα Ένας πολύ σημαντικός τομέας, στον οποίο και εξετάζουμε κιόλας σήμερα, είναι το customer experience, που είναι ένας από τους 5 πυλώνες που είναι πολύ μεγάλη στρατηγική σημασίας για τη Unisystems, και μέσα από αυτή την εμπειρία και την τεχνογνωσία του προσφέρει μια ολιστική λύση και προσέγγιση στις εταιρείες στον τομέα του customer experience. Services όπως consulting, assessment, support, implementation, analysis, design, operation, outsourcing. Έχει συνάψει πάρα πολύ σημαντικές συνεργασίες και συμφωνίες η Unisystems με εταιρείες πάνω σε διάφορες λύσεις και πλατφόρμες, διότι έτσι με αυτόν τον τρόπο προσφέρει έναν ολιστικό τρόπο προσέγγισης και υλοποίησης customer experience λύσεων, και μία από αυτές τις λύσεις που θα δούμε σήμερα είναι η Pointillist Genesis. Σε αυτό το σχεδιάγραμμα να δούμε γιατί η συνεργασία Unisystems και Pointillist μπορούν να ενισχύσουν το customer experience σε έναν οργανισμό. Γιατί η Pointillist είναι ξεχωριστή, γιατί διαφοροποιείται ως πλατφόρμα και ως customer experience. Σε αυτή την πυραμίδα, αν πάμε στη βάση της, θα δούμε ένα στοιχείο το οποίο αναφέρει empathy customer experience. Αυτό λοιπόν που διαφοροποιείται και προσφέρει η Pointillist σαν value είναι το step into your customer's shoes. Τι σημαίνει? Πολύ απλά σημαίνει ότι δίνει τη δυνατότητα σε έναν οργανισμό να μπει στα παπούτσια του πελάτη και να καταλάβει πώς αισθάνεται ο πελάτης ύστερα από μια εμπειρία που έχει με έναν οργανισμό. Το δεύτερο πολύ σημαντικό στοιχείο είναι το touchpoint analysis. Βοηθάει η λύση της Pointillist, η πλατφόρμα, να καταλάβουμε πώς ο πελάτης έχει μια διαδραστικότητα μέσα σε μια εταιρεία, η εμπειρία που δέχεται, ποια είναι αυτή η εμπειρία που δέχεται και τι impact έχει αυτό μετά, αυτή η εμπειρία, είναι θετική ή αρνητική, στον οργανισμό. Ένα τρίτο πολύ σημαντικό στοιχείο είναι το journey visualization. Δίνει τη δυνατότητα η Pointillist, η πλατφόρμα Pointillist, να ερευνήσουμε, να παρακολουθήσουμε το customer journey, το ταξίδι δηλαδή του πελάτη μέσα στον οργανισμό, και με εργαλεία οπτικοποίησης πάρα πολύ εύκολα να διαπιστώσουμε και να αναλύσουμε, αλλά και να φτάσουμε σε αυτό που λέμε deeper insights, σε βαθύτερες έννοιες σχετικά με το ταξίδι του πελάτη. Και τέλος, ένα πολύ σημαντικό στοιχείο είναι να κάνουμε ένα alignment, δηλαδή ο οργανισμός να γίνει aligned γύρω από το customer experience του πελάτη. Το εισαγωγικό μου, θα σταματήσω τώρα το εισαγωγικό, το introduction. Θα μιλήσω στα αγγλικά για να καλωσορίσουμε και τους δύο guests που έχουμε από την Genesis Pointillist, δύο έμπειρα στελέχη. Thank you for being here. Good morning to everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce two exceptional professionals, Carla Domingo, Sales Director, and Tarek Alakhar, our Lead Solution Architect. With their combined expertise and insights are truly invaluable to customer experience field. Thank you again for being here and for your time. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Stavros, and thank you all for being here. Right. Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Stavros. Right, we're going to walk you through why it's important, taking this journey-based approach, how Pointillist, which is part of Genesis, fits in the overall vision, and then Tarek, will show you different use case live, in a demo. Stavros, I don't understand, very much, but no, in the introduction you said, just to reinforce the message, customers, even more, more and more, they expect a personalized experience, on any channel they prefer to engage on. The competitors, of like the Uber, or Airbnb, which are digital first, they expect that same level of customer experience, from any company that they interact with. And whether they choose to start with the mobile then, you know, maybe they have to chat, right? They expect this personalized experience. They demand, right, empathy that you don't, you know, they don't have to repeat themselves. They expect to be delighted. And we know that if, you know, we don't do that, they don't have, right, any problem on, you know, switching companies, right? In fact, right, you know, according to study, right, from Accenture, right, 50%, right, have switched brands due to poor customer experience. You know, 97% of customers, you know, globally are multi-channel, right? So, you know, on average, and that's for the banking, right, they use 5.6 channels, right, with a company. And, you know, more nowadays, right? But you know, there are a lot of emerging technologies, and you know, there's a lot of hype, right, on generative AI, right? But this is, you know, changing, you know, the market, especially, right, the customer experience and how we interact with customers. We do know, right, that it's hard, you know, to do that because of, you know, sometimes when, you know, we say, you know, improving customer experience, you know, it's sometimes intangibles, and at the same time, right, companies are, you know, we have to reduce cost. It's difficult to understand, right, what the customer behavior across channels, because data, right, tends to be in silos. When you try to do this, you know, this demand, right, for the analytics and data teams, you know, takes too much time. They are complex. They cannot be done, right, with, you know, from the business side. You know, it takes, you know, too much time, and many times, right, you finally understand this customer behavior, but it's a one-off, right? So you cannot, you know, uncover what's the root cause and address, right, those issues efficiently. That's why, right, you know, by visualizing, right, and optimizing the journeys of your customers, and, you know, Stavros said that, right? So put yourself, right, on your customer's shoes. You will ensure, right, that the goal, right, whatever the customer, right, it's trying to achieve with you, right, whether you know, it's buying, it's, you know, setting up, you know, the product, paying, right, they have any customer support issue using your product, right, even changing, right, or leaving, right, you will ensure, right, that these goals that the customers are achieving, you know, are successfully met. If, you know, that happens, right, we will know that, you know, the impact on KPIs, right, such as the satisfaction, but also, you know, average handling time, contact resolution, right, operational efficiency, right, can be achieved, right, by having, right, this view. To put it, right, in a couple of examples, we're going to first, right, go on building a park, right? So, you know, when a city, right, designs a park, you know, they will have some areas with paths, some areas, right, that they will have grass, right, and everything, you know, it's layout, and, you know, it's beautiful, right? So you have mapped, right, but the customer, what they have to go through. But we know, right, that the reality is another one, right? That you know, paths that were not planned, right, exist, right, and they impact, right, your KPIs. Right, the idea is to help you find, right, these paths that are taken that are not planned, right, by putting yourself on your customer's shoes. Another example, you know, on journey analytics and the difference is, you know, with maps, right? So when you think about how, you know, Athens, right, the city has been, you know, laid out, right? What are the main roads, secondary roads, roundabouts, right? Everything. This is what you want, you know, the customers to follow, right? But if we get the map and enrich it with data, right, that makes it more powerful, because you will understand where, right, the customers, or in this case, the citizens, right, are having the issues, right? So we see where they are having, and going from point A to point B with this data, with this data, sometimes it's not the shortest one, right? Sometimes you have to go, through other roads in order to achieve, right, your destination. So this is, right, basically what a Pointillist will allow you to do, right? So it's identifying that friction, right, through having, a view of the end-to-end customer. You will have, right, customers that, on the mobile app, right, they can do the whole journey, right? They had a problem, right? So they support the request, it, it creates a case, the case is closed, right? And then you send out a survey. You'll have other, customers that, they might find, after logging to the app, they cannot do it there. So they required, WhatsApp, right? Assisted channels. We know that sometimes then, right, this cannot be solved, right, on a even though, right, you are talking to an agent through a digital channel, sometimes it's needed, right, a voice agent. At the end, right, all these customers have reached, right, the end goal, which is that the case is closed, but they have followed, right, multiple different paths. We want you, right, to have this view and identifying why, right, they have to, maybe jump, right, from one channel to the other, right, where is the friction, and help you improve these processes, right, in order to improve customer satisfaction at the same time, right, that you reduce operational cost. Genesis, Pointillist as part of, the Genesis ecosystem, right, fits in being, right, the tool that will help you, listen, have the full context, right, of everything that your customers are doing, right? So through the Genesis, right, cloud, platform, right, then you can, understand and predict, right, those outcomes. We have a, really open API, right, that allows you to connect, right, to other multiple systems, a great ecosystem, right, with the App Foundry, and a very easy platform to then, right, act, right, in the right moment at the right time, right, to, improve customer experience, with, you can, either, automate, right, or act in the same time, and then, right, you can, continuously check, right, that the outcome that you wanted, right, to achieve, whether, right, it is reduce the handle time, right, improve more customers, right, achieving that goal in just one channel, right? So we will see some, different use cases, but, any business outcome that the customer wants to achieve with Pointillist, right, you start again, right? You measure and analyze, right, that what you were trying to achieve or your customers to achieve is what it's really happening, right? So this is a vicious circle, right? When you personalize, right, when you orchestrate, right, that experience of your customer, right, in real time, can be through Genesis, right, or any other platform, you need to understand, right, the experience of your millions of me's across, your whole business, right? Your, thousands, right, or hundreds of thousands customers, understand, right, what are they doing in order to use that knowledge, right, those insights, to improve, right, the experience in real time, right, of each of your customers. Visually, right, so what's the process that, we follow, and you'll see, right, in the demo, is we ingest data, right, from multiple systems. So it can be, obviously, right, contact center data from Genesis, but we are not limited, right, to just Genesis, right? We are data agnostic, and we can ingest, from any other contact center provider. Web and mobile, right? So think about the click stream, right? What are the customers, going through the web or doing, right, on the mobile? the survey NPS that they fill in after, a touch point or whenever you send it. Marketing data, right? So, the campaigns, right? Or anything that you are sending out. Email as a channel, it can be the email, it can be WhatsApp, right? It can be, any other channel that you use. Notifications that you send, it can be fraud. This is an example, right? But any communications that you send to the customer, right? And then anything, right, that you have on your own database. It can be segmentation data to enrich, right, this analysis, or it can be anything you have. So, for example, one of our banking clients in Italy, right, they send us all the transactions that customers do in a branch, right? So if you think, when you go to a branch, you can, speak right to a person, and that person, right, will log, right, in their internal systems what it's doing on behalf, right, of the customer, or the customer can go right to the ATM and do a transaction there. So this is information that this bank, right, it's compiling and in their database, and this is information, right, that they are sending to us. I'll explain, in a sec what's the specific use case for that bank. We'll ingest all the data and stitch it together. So we don't need the same identifier across all these touch points in order to understand that the customer that is going to the web is going to the same that then is calling. We have a proprietary algorithm, identity resolution, that will create a unique profile per customer with all their identifiers, and we'll connect and transform the data in order to show you, right, what are the journeys with the outcomes that clients are trying to achieve across, right, all channels, with the objective, right, at the end, which is provide you, right, with value and improving, right, or your main KPIs, whether it's operational efficiency, reducing cost, right, increasing satisfaction, or optimizing, right, your revenue through cross-sell or retention. Before going to the demo, right, these are the common use cases and business outcomes that we have achieved with our customers, and you will see, right, some of them in the demo that Tarek, right, will provide. If we think about operational efficiency, we can help you increase, right, the self-serve, whether it's you've set up a chatbot, right, or a voice bot, or your digital channels, right? You want customers, right, to self-serve. You don't want them, right, to call if they can do those things, right, by themselves. So seeing why, right, they are jumping from a self-serve channel to a cost-intensive channel such as the voice will help you reduce calls. Within, right, we can work also, right, within the contact center and just get the all the repeat calls, agent transfers, right, the agent performance, and help increase the first call resolution, for example, right, in order to reduce the time, right, that the customers, right, have to call again, or optimize, right, one or multiple channels. On that process improvement, right, I talked about that Italian bank. The channels that they wanted to optimize is the web and app, right? So they are investing heavily, right, on building more and more functionalities within the web, right, within the app. So they want to analyze, whenever they release new things, if customers, right, they still go to the branch, right, to perform those actions. Okay, so we have the web and app data, so what customers are doing, and we have the branch data, right, whether it's at the ATM or it's the agent on behalf, right, of the client doing those actions. And they analyze, right, per region, per type of customers, not only, for example, the segmentation by age, right, but also by gender or by type of customer, and see what's the behavior, right? Whether if they can do that in the app, right? If they go to the branch, do they go to the branch because they have to do multiple actions and they cannot do everything on the app, right? So it's they call migratable, right? What are the actions doing on the branch that can be migratable, right, to a web and app? And once they have that, they do campaigns, right, or actions in order to migrate those customers, right, to the web and app. Other use cases, right, about improving customer satisfaction, right, identifying the friction points, what drives, right, positive or negative sentiment, or promoters or detractors. This there is a real example that I guess does happen to many of us, which is you went to the app, right? You are trying. So, for example, that happened to me last year, right? I was in a traffic jam. I had a train. I was late. I went to the app. I couldn't change it. I was stressed. I tried even the website. I couldn't. I had to then go through the IVR. After a couple of minutes, I end up, talking to an agent, right? The agent told me, no, you cannot because it's, less than 2 hours before departure. Like, well, no one, right? There was no announcement, right? Anything on the website that said that, right? So I just thought that it was not working. So I tried for 3 or 4 times. So anyway, I end up, talking to the agent. He was very successful. He changed my train. But then I received, right, a survey. I was not happy about the overall experience, right? So I ended up, giving, right, a bad score, but it was not the agent, right? It was about my whole experience. So by connecting, right, all these dots, right, you can understand, right, where is driving, right, these negative CSAT, right, or the detractors. And then, right, on the optimizing, right, your revenue growth, we can work in 2 areas, right? One is helping cross-sell, and the other one is helping with retention. Let me give you an example, right, on the churn use case, which is it was with a telco, right? And they wanted to understand for their new customers that churn within 60 days, what was happening to them, right? So they sent us we had data, right, from obviously sales, right, to understand who was buying and what they were buying and where they were buying it. But then the WhatsApp, IVR, right, calls, surveys, communication sent, right, by the and communication sent, right, by the telco, right. This is very important because many times well, one of the things that we found out, for example, right, is that after several communications, that led to a call. So those communications, right, were just confusing, right, the customers. So we helped, right, understand those patterns, right, of churn, right, and customers, in which steps, right, they were more likely to churn. And then you can systematize, right, this analysis in the sense that you can do actions, right? If you do this on a ongoing basis, you can do actions when you know customers that they are on a likely, right, to churn path. You can do a proactive. Maybe you want to call them proactively, right, before they churn. And so this is a really interesting and good example. So with that, I will give it to Tarek, right, to walk you through some use cases in the demo. I haven't checked. Is there any? Well, we will have a Q&A session afterwards, but just feel free to use the Q&A section in Teams in order to ask any questions that you have.
Thank you, Carla. All right, let me show you now the the platform in action. Okay, so what you see here is what we call the studio. It's the main user interface for Pointillist, where Pointillist users will spend most of their time. This is the interface that allows users to perform potentially complex analysis using the data that we have ingested. As Carla said, this is a zero code platform. There is no technical skill required to use this platform. Anybody in the organization can be trained and enabled. There's a 4-hour training course. And then what we usually do is some on-demand or scheduled coaching for the first year. But as you will see, it's all drag and drop. There is very, very easy to start performing analysis with the studio. What you see on the left is what we call the events library. This is the result of the data ingestion. So all the data that we'll have ingested from the existing systems in the organization, as Carla explained, Pointillist doesn't collect any new data. Instead, it leverages the data that is already collected by the organization. So yeah, the event library, this is what we'll have ingested from the other systems, and this is what we'll be able now to use to perform customer journey analysis. So for this first example, I'm going to start with a blank screen. And I'm going to imagine, and this is a very common use case, something that has been done by all or nearly all of our customers at some point. And it's a fast ROI use case, and I'll explain why at the end of this section. So let's imagine for this first use case that I'm working on my digital support channels, and I want to measure their performance and see if there is room for improvement. So let's do that. What's the best way of measuring the performance of my digital self-service support channels? It's to look at how many calls they're generating to the contact center and to agents. So let's do that. Let's drag and drop some events, starting with the agent call. And then let's imagine I have 3 main digital self-service support channels, the support section on my website, the chatbot, and the FAQ. Without doing much, Pointillist is already giving me interesting information. So first, what you see here on the top left, it shows that Pointillist is looking at the data of potentially 35 million customers here on this demo platform, meaning this is the total number of customers and prospects that have been identified in the data. And so by default, I'm looking at a year of data, what happened in the past year. What Pointillist is telling me here is that last year, 8 million customers out of 35 called the contact center and spoke with an agent after interacting with one of these 3 support sections. And I can see visually, because the line is thicker, that most of them called after looking at the FAQ. Now, at this point, my analysis is not really spot on because it's taking into account customers who looked at one of these digital channels and then called several months later, probably for completely unrelated reasons. So the best way to make my analysis more accurate, because those are completely disjointed channels. We have digital on one side and we have voice on the other side. There's no session ID or call ID between the two. So the best way to make this analysis more to the point is to add a time constraint. So I could add a time constraint here on every link, but to go faster, I just add a global time constraint on the whole journey. So now what I've asked Pointillist is to tell me how many customers have interacted with those 3 sections, and then less than 48 hours later have called the contact center. In these conditions, I'm confident that they're calling for the same reason they were looking for help on their own. So the number has changed. It's not 8 million, it's 5 million now, but the trend is the same. People are mostly calling after they interact with the FAQ. So here, if I want the leakage rates, I can get them instantly. 16%, 12%, 20%. So here what Pointillist is telling me is that the FAQ is my most popular digital support channel with 14.5 million customers interacting with it in the past year. This I probably knew thanks to my web analytics. What I probably didn't know is that it's also the one, it's also the section on the support section on my website that escalates to the contact center the most with a 20% leakage rate. So, and we're talking about 3 million customers in the past year calling 48 hours or less after looking at the FAQ. So basically, in just a minute, I have learned that if I want to improve the performance of my digital self-service support channels, I should probably start with the FAQ because this is where I will have the most impact. This is great, but in my FAQ, maybe I have thousands or tens of thousands of different entries and topics, and I'm not going to improve everything. There's no way. This is not possible. So what do I do from here? Well, we're going to use something that we call behavior discovery. What Pointillist can do is find the most frequent event between two steps in a journey. So in this case, the FAQ landing page and the call to the contact center, the agent interaction in the contact center. And so I can use this little triangle here to customize the analysis. The top part of the triangle is focused on pure traffic. The bottom right on leakage or escalation rate. I want to work on both. So I put my cursor right in the middle there. And I can preview the results, discard the ones that, maybe things I already know that are obvious. I can discard this and they will be replaced by the next best result. In any case, once I'm happy with the preview, I can import this into the studio. And here what I have now, Pointillist is telling me that if I want to improve the performance of my digital support channels, I should start with the FAQ. And inside the FAQ, I should start with those 5 topics, those 5 entries, because they have the highest traffic and the highest leakage or escalation rates. 19%, 1.8 million, 22%, 2.3 million, 20%, 3.6 million. You get the idea. So now I know what to fix. And because Pointillist is ingesting the data continuously, as I'm making changes to those 5 entries, I can check on a daily basis that the changes I'm making are indeed taking me in the right direction, that the leakage rates are going down, and the number of calls as well. I said at the beginning of the demo that this is a fast ROI type of use case. Well, usually because fixing an FAQ entry is quite easy. The challenge is to find out what to fix. And we saw here that with Pointillist, you can get that information in just a minute. And then once you know what to fix, you just go on the page, and usually it's pretty obvious what the problem is. Usually it's outdated information, broken links, or confusing information. So it's quite easy to fix. So that was the first use case I want to show you. But in terms of discovery, we can take it to the next step by using what we call path. And this feature allows you to start with any event and see everything that happens before or after that event. So here's an example that was also inspired by one of our customers. They wanted to see what was happening before or after customers requested a callback on the web app. So here I'm looking in my events library for web callback. And as you can see, as soon as I select it, I can see all the different paths my customers are taking in an omni-channel way after they request a callback. I can time box this from 1 hour to 90 days. By default, it's 7 days. So 7 days already goes pretty deep. You can see I have quite a lot of information there. More interestingly, in this use case, I can see what happens after the callback request. But more interestingly, I can see what happens before the callback request. So now I can see what my customers were trying to do on the web app before they requested the callback. And now I can identify opportunities of improvement of my self-service, potentially. Either broken or confusing experiences in my self-service on the web app or on the mobile app, or maybe just missing features on the self-service as well. So now I can see what sections on the web app or on the mobile app my customers were browsing before they requested the callback. I can select the ones I want to analyze further, and then start a more thorough analysis in the studio, use behavior discovery, drag and drop more events, etc. So this is to show that you don't need to have formalized your journeys before you use Pointillist, because those discovery features allow you to discover the journeys your customers are taking and start an analysis, even if you don't have a thorough view of all your customer journeys, even if you didn't do customer journey mapping effort throughout the experience. Let's look now at a little bit more sophisticated example. Let's say here is an example where so we did this for a telco. It's an example where we engineered an analysis to look at a conversion journey. In this case, selling a new mobile subscription plan through the chat. So here, what you see in the middle is the funnel, the experience on the chat channel to subscribe to a new mobile plan. And that's what we're focusing on here. So let's have a first look. So the experience starts with a chatbot interaction. The customer says they need help to choose a new mobile plan. And then they're immediately escalated to an agent who gives them information on available mobile plans based on the input the customer or the prospect gives. Then the agent helps the customer configure the mobile plan. Then hopefully the customer, the prospect, will decide to subscribe to this new mobile plan, and that's the desired outcome for the organization. The purchase will be confirmed. If we look back from the desired outcome, confirmation of the purchase, we can visually very easily see where we're losing customers in the funnel. The amount of red in each circle gives me the dropout rate. So I can see that I have 50% of my customers that are dropping out, meaning they're exiting the journey at this step. They're not moving further to the next step. So that's quite surprising, because that's really the beginning of the journey. And so maybe we're losing customers here. There's probably an opportunity of improvement of the experience. Maybe we're not giving customers, maybe we're not asking them the right questions to help them select the right mobile plan. Maybe we're not presenting the available mobile plans in a good way. In any case, we could drill down and try to understand exactly what's wrong here, and try to get that dropout rate down. Also, there's another spot in the journey here where I'm losing a lot of customers, 34%. And that's surprising, because it's the very end of the journey. And customers are pretty engaged at this point. They've committed to purchasing a mobile plan. All they have to do is probably sign the contract electronically or provide payment information. And 1/3 of them are just dropping out. So either they're changing their mind at the last second, or something else is happening. And to see what could be happening at every step of the journey, we're looking at leakage to the contact center. So if we look at escalations from this step to the contact center, we can see that we're not really losing our customers here. Most of them are calling. Nearly all of them are calling to finalize their purchase, their subscription, rather than finishing the journey on the chat channel. There's probably something wrong here in the chat experience. Maybe the payment or the electronic signature process is confusing, or maybe it's just broken. In any case, there's a huge opportunity here, not to convert more customers, because I'm still converting them probably through voice, but to lower the cost of conversion, the cost of acquisition. So here I can work both on the acquisition of new customers and the cost of that acquisition at the same time. And we've added satisfaction survey at the end here with a 30-day time constraint, meaning we're taking into account results of satisfaction survey for customers who have gone through that experience and answered the survey less than 30 days after starting the experience. In this case, we're considering that that experience influenced their answers to the survey. So here we're trying to measure the impact of this particular journey on satisfaction. And now we can produce charts like this, monitoring the proportion of promoters, neutral detractors for this journey, or looking at the average NPS score over time for this particular journey as well. And of course, we can look at the leakage also, what happens before the chat. Looking at the leakage to the chat from the web and the mobile app, we can see that the mobile app is leaking way more to the chat, meaning customers on the mobile app seem to need more help than customers on the web app to choose the right mobile plan. So again, we could try to optimize our self-service here to see exactly at which part of the journey on the self-service customers are escalating to chat, to again work on the cost of conversion as well, and see an opportunity here, particularly in the mobile app, because it's leaking way more. So probably the experience on the mobile app is not as good as on the web app. And yeah, we could monitor this leakage from mobile app and web app over time as well. So all these charts we can put in dashboards like this one that are easy to share across the organization, and that will allow everyone in the organization to align on the KPIs and the performance of the journeys. What we also have is an alert system that can alert you when the latest value in a series is outside of the expected range. Here we're monitoring the leakage from the chat to the contact center to voice. And we've configured the alert to kick in when there's a brutal change. So it will use the history of the data to determine if the latest value is in the expected range or not. And here it is just out of the expected range. There was a brutal increase in my leakage from chat to voice. So I'm alerted on screen and I'm alerted by email as well. This will allow you to be very, to react very quickly to a drop in performance in one of the journey and one of the KPIs. Other use cases I wanted to show, this one is more of a banking use case, and this is also a use case that we have implemented with one of our customers to show that we can ingest data not just from the web and the contact center, but also from other systems like ATMs. We do that for a lot of our banking customers because ATMs are part of the experience. So here we were in a scenario where our customer had a project to upgrade all the ATMs in their ATM network, and they wanted to understand how the ATMs were used in order to properly plan and deploy the new generation of ATMs. So what we did is we modeled for each ATM journey. So this one is for check deposit. We modeled the journey inside the ATM and we looked at the leakage to the branch, because of course these ATMs are located in bank branches. So if the customer has a problem with the ATM experience, what they will do is they will immediately go to the branch to deposit their check through the main desk. So, excuse me, just like in the previous example, we used Pointillist to understand, where the experience in the ATMs were failing and how much the customers were leaking to the branch at every step. and then measured satisfaction as well to link, the satisfaction score to that particular experience. Another example is about A/B testing. So what Pointillist can do is it can really give a new dimension to your A/B testing. Pointillist will not replace traditional A/B testing tools, but it will complement them by giving you more data about the A/B testing analysis. Here, this is an example where we're monitoring two different experiences for promotion applications. We use this example because we worked with one of our customers on promotion, because everybody knows that promotions have hidden costs for the organization. Any promotion campaign will generate calls to the contact center. Calls like, I lost my promotion code, can you send it again? Or the promotion expired yesterday, can I still use it? All these calls usually fly under the radar. Not a lot of organizations take into account the cost of these campaigns in terms of generated calls. So here we imagined with that customer, an A/B testing where they wanted to upgrade the way the customers would apply promotions, make it easier and more seamless for them. And they also wanted to make sure that the new experience not only improved the conversion, but also, didn't make the number of calls higher. And so here we're monitoring the two experiences side by side, and we're looking on both experiences at the leakage to the contact center. And so we can now compare the KPIs, not just the conversion rate, but also the leakage rate between the two experiences, and make a more informed decision on whether to roll out or roll back the new experience. Last thing I wanted to show you, as a fast path to value, we have what we call our contact center optimization offer, which is a way to get value out of Pointillist very quickly by focusing on the contact center performance. So this contact center optimization offer is a set of predefined dashboards that we've called contact center experience that are very easy to deploy with, of course, Genesys Cloud data, but also other contact center systems as well. We're using these dashboards for migration. Some of our customers are migrating from a competitor to Genesys Cloud, for example, and we'll use this to compare the performance of their legacy system versus Genesys Cloud as it begins to be rolled out, to make sure the performance of Genesys Cloud is actually better than the system it's replacing. So these dashboards are fast path to value because they're ready to be deployed. They use only contact center data, so it's an easier data integration. And then you can build upon that and extend the scope gradually. Let me show you quickly how to use those. This is the landing page. This is the 5 KPIs that the contact center experience dashboards focuses on. And these are KPIs anybody who runs a contact center already uses. There's the self-service containment, then the migration of your customers or prospects from assisted channels to self-service channels, the repeat calls, the agent to agent transfer, and finally, the performance of the call themselves, the average handle time, wait time, outcomes, etc. Each of these 5 KPIs has a dedicated detail page with more information, allowing you to dig deeper into the data. If we look at an example, we can see here that we've got a little drop in our self-service containment rate. It's a small variation, but I still want to understand where it's coming from. So to do that, I will go into the self-service containment detail page for more data on the self-service performance. The first thing I can see is which channel is responsible for the drop in performance. So I've got chatbot and voicebot. I can see that the chatbot is actually performing better this month than last month. The leakage rate is down, but the voice bot has had a drop in performance. The leakage rate is higher this month than last month. So now I know that the voice bot is probably responsible for my drop in containment. So now I know which channel to look at. And here we've got the channel intents that are driving the leakage to agent calls. And if I look at the voice bot, because I know I need to focus on the voice bot, I can see that there's one intent that's way out there, delinquency resolution. Not only is it leaking a lot at about 40%, but it's leaking more and more with a 20% increase months over months. So in just a few seconds, I found the intent that was probably responsible for my drop in performance. And now I can export a bunch of call IDs that match this intent to know which calls to listen to understand exactly what is wrong. But behind the scenes, it's the full Pointillist running, and you still have access to the studio. So once, after you deploy the contact center experience dashboards, once you decide to add more channels, let's say web or mobile app, we can use now Pointillist to understand what happens before the contact center, try to understand what customers were doing on other channels before they called, see what's happening on the web. Well, main menu, that's not very helpful. Neither is homepage. Now I'm starting to see more interesting intents. And yeah, now I can see that a lot of customers are calling after we send them a bill. A lot of customers are calling after they tried to make a payment on the web app. And a lot of things seem to be about payment. So here I can detect more and more opportunities of improvement of my self-service or my digital channels to try and avoid even the unnecessary interactions with the voice bot or the chat bot that would lead to leakage with the agent. This is what I wanted to show you in terms of demo. I'll hand it over to you, Carla, to wrap up and then maybe have the Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you, Tarek. Very, very interesting. Yeah, before going to the Q&A, right after, we've shown you, everything that Pointillist, right, it's capable to do. And one of the, main questions always is, okay, but where do we start, right? What can we do? So the possibilities that you have, right, with Pointillist increase, right, with the data that you are analyzing. So Tarek has, the last dashboard, right, and use case that has shown, right, it's about contact center optimization, right? So there we are, connecting to Genesys Cloud, right, or Genesys Engage, or we can do it, right, for any other contact center solution, the IVR, the chatbots and voice bots, right, the agent and the intent, right? So you've seen there how, we can monitor, right, those metrics. So, understand when, the self-service containment, right, is going up or down, in which channels, right, which agents, right, are transferring more calls, what's the intent, right, of the calls that needed, right, more repeat calls, right? So, these are all the, focus areas, right, and analysis that we can work on just with contact center data, as Tarek has shown. As you, right, increase, and add, it builds up, right? So if we include, right, web and mobile data as, as well as survey, right? So then it's, the example that I was explaining earlier, right, about connecting the dots, about all the experience, right, on the offline, right, or the contact center, right, and the online world, right, and understanding what's the impact, of all these experiences and voice of the in the surveys, right, on the CSAT or NPS scores. As being part of Genesys, right, and having many Genesys customers on the way, right, of migrating from, on-prem solutions to cloud solutions, Pointillist can, be used, right, to help you get ready, right, for this modernization. Here, the main thing will be to connect, right, first to the on-prem, right, and have a baseline, right, of all these metrics in the current setup. Right. Once we have this, that will be the approach of just a one-off, right? We will apply, right, these data, right, in order to design, right, and build a strategy, right, focus on customer experience in the new solution. If, right, there is, months, right, or weeks that the two solutions run in parallel, right, we can also the same A/B testing that Tarek was showing, right, but have it using, comparing the old platform, right, with the new platform to make sure that while you do, right, this transition, the KPIs and the customer experience is not impacted. With web and mobile data, right? Examples, and that was right the first one that Tarek has shown, right? But what are the web activities driving, right? Calls in this case, right? But was what the online support channels, right? Such as right the frequently asked questions, right? Or the chat or the forum, right? We're driving a course channel, but we can do the analysis overall, right? And maybe they are not in one of these three support channels, right? But they are on the app, right? Trying to do a transfer. And then they end up calling, right? So those are what are the activities, right? That they cannot do online, right? That they have to call. And the last one, it's the banking, the Italian bank that I talked about, right? What are the opportunities, right, of customers to migrate them, right, to digital channels. And whenever you any other custom data source, right, that you include, the platform is right super as you've seen, right, super open, right, to create your own journeys and the taxonomy, right? So all the events that you have seen and all the journeys is completely customizable, right, by you. And we do have, right, a team and with Unisystems, right, that will help you, to personalize all those experiences at a scale and, deliver an ongoing, transformation and a journey management approach, right, within your company. With that, we'll go to the Q&A. We've received a couple of questions. The first one, Tarek, right, is for you, and it's a usual suspect, right? So they're asking, how do we integrate with the different systems?
Sorry, I don't see the questions for some reason. Can you repeat the question? Because I don't see them in the Q&A.
How do we integrate, right, with the different sources?
Yeah. So what we will do is we will do a data ingestion to the ways. We have two ways of ingesting data into the platform. One way is through batch, by receiving batch files on a daily or hourly basis, whatever makes sense. So that means you're going to have to extract the data from each data source, put it in a CSV-like format, and then push it to Pointillist through an SFTP that we provide or an S3 bucket, and then the data will be ingested automatically. The second way is through API integration. The preferred way is actually batch because it's way easier to put in place, and we have also productized all the mapping. So it's all part of the admin, all the mapping information. Everything can be configured, the fingerprints in the admin. So it makes it way easier to implement the ingestion and then to maintain it over time, versus an API connector that we usually reserve for just the complex cases where usually cases that will involve doing a lookup for each line, for example, because the data cannot be put all in a file. So that's why we have the API connectors, and they're usually way more complex to implement and also to maintain over time. If something changes, you need the developer and the delays that come with that to keep it in working condition. So that's why 95%, I'd say, of what we ingest is usually through batch, and that's a super quick and easy way to set it up. We can set up a new batch ingestion in a matter of days once we've done the data discovery with your teams to understand what the data looks like, what the attributes are, and how we need to ingest it.
Perfect, thank you. There is another question about the pricing, right? So the way we, the pricing model, right? It's based on, the amount of data that we are going to ingest. So that depends. We have modeled, right, in the two different ways, right, or variables, right? One is the amount of customers, right, that you have. It's not the same analyzing, right, 1 million, right, and 20 million and right customers data. And the second thing is the sources. Again, that determines, right, the volume. So it's not the same a survey that might be answered, right, by 5% of your customers, right, than the app, if you're a bank, right, where you have customers connecting, on a regular basis, right? Maybe not daily, right, but weekly, for sure. Any other questions? Stavros, anything from your side?
No, Carla and Tarek. It's been really explanatory, but I don't have any questions for the moment to ask you. I would like to thank you for the presentation. I have to switch back to Greek now. Να σας ευχαριστήσω όλους που ήσασταν εδώ. Αν υπάρχει κάποια ερώτηση που δεν θέλετε να υποβάλλετε εδώ πέρα, πολύ ευχαρίστως. Αν θέλετε να έρθετε σε επικοινωνία μαζί μου, μαζί μας, μέσω email και μέσω τηλεφώνου, και εγώ προσωπικά είμαι στη διάθεσή σας, αλλά και η υπόλοιπη ομάδα. Ό,τι χρειαστείτε μπορείτε να επικοινωνήσετε λοιπόν. Να σας ευχαριστήσω πάρα πολύ που ήσασταν εδώ. Είμαστε στη διάθεσή σας. Thank you again, Carla and Tarek. We'll be in touch anyway. Και σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stavros.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.